Hey, internets. This is Tatiana King of For All Nerds, and on this episode, we review episode 4 of Ironheart, where we watch Ezekiel Stain become White Lightning. Tragic. So let's keep moving. We want to talk about episode 4, and you talked about choices, Ben, and that terrible ass repass was a choice.
Why was it terrible?
They didn't really do it right for my man's John. John didn't deserve it.
They had a lot more money.
They
They definitely have dollars right now. Like they have funds, and they sat him in the bar and ordered some pizza. Right?
That was wild. That was wild. Out the boxes, they ain't even plate the pizza.
What's Shea Kool-Aid's character from Madripoor? Madripoor showed up and said, "So can y'all say something nice about John?" First of all, y'all been TVing and doing criminal activities for who knows years at this point, months.
Has it been months? I think it's been months for this crew.
Point is, you doing crimes with your hood rat friends for 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah,
and y'all had nothing nice to say about each other, and they looked at each other like.
I mean, John just put clown head first into the table like episodes ago. You know,
she was not. She was just like, well, I can't say it.
It was a terrible ass repass for John. They hated that nigga bad. Like, come on.
I think he's one of the best actors on the show.
John,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing him in Good Girls and just his presence. You almost kind of think about him being the hood a little bit, but I think that is the right casting because he's somebody who I guess he I don't know the age in real life, but he reads older.
Yes.
And why the hood would look up to him.
Why Parker,
Parker would look up to him and just and really so his death. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about this series as a whole, it's a mini series and it treats things like a miniseries where like anybody can get it. And just because you like this character, just because this character is I like this character. And it's like, oh, he's gone now. And now everybody has to deal with the aftermath of his death. And it's something that, I think trauma is a really big thing in this show, which I was pleasantly like astounded by, for a lot of characters, not just Riri.
Yeah. For them, I'm glad you mentioned that about trauma being like a huge theme along this miniseries because, first of all, that's a deeper theme that's not often visited in Marvel projects. Number one, and then certainly not one that has a short, well, at least for season 1. Hopefully there'll be season 2, but it's a shorter lifespan where you don't think that they're going to allow the space for that. But then that, as I had mentioned before, episodes back, that it gives more humanity to the characters, whether they're quote, the bad guy or the good guy or the in-between person, you still see that there are layers to them. They're just not a flat one-note character. And I think that's that's part of what makes these stories good, right? Having the tragedy or you have to have some sort of conflict there, right? And in this case, it's that trauma that so many people in this show are experiencing on multiple levels. And I just think that makes it even stronger because it gives you more depth to these people, makes you actually care about what's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about how the memorial was kind of trash.
That shit was just funny to me because I watched everything. I had a crazy trip back today on the planes and stuff, and so I had a chance to kind of just scrub through everything again, and I was just like, "Damn, that was a terrible last time. Like there was no food or nothing, and or pizza, whatever you said, cold pizza, whatever."
Yeah.
It was just funny to me, but more indicative of like y'all niggas don't really have a plan. Like it was like it made it more apparent that this is just a slap shot, like just thrown together ragtag team that like a broke down Ocean's 11 type shit. And I don't know if that was on purpose or otherwise, but like it was just like y'all niggas don't know what y'all doing. Like it's a bunch of individuals. It's not exactly a team. And then later on you see how them individuals, it's like 1 minute they did, 1 minute they not. So
I mean, this is not the X-Men. Like this is not where they've been raised with Charles Xavier, and this ain't even the second X-Men Wolverine where they're grown and they all had their own thing going on and they came together as a team. Well, this might be like that, but they never get a chance to form that bonds. because
Yeah.
there's no real Charles Xavier here. It's a bad Magneto impression, I guess. And no, I just thought I didn't realize how trash his memorial was, but I did like the opening scene where it shows John saving Carter and then
Right.
how that went into the memorial scene, because I thought
Yeah.
that was a great flashback and a great last chance for a dude to give some great acting. And once again, like you said, Chris, for you to see why Carter looks up to him and why
Parker.
the loss of John is going to drive Carter completely over the edge as it does.
No, it does. And with Parker, I was laughing also how he was plotting on Riri. Like you saw that, like that the influence of the hood and all this other stuff just really got to him in that space. And you could, again, I think Anthony Ramos, he's done an excellent, like he's leveled up in this role to be able to be palpable with the tension and really show like he ain't up to no good. I think again something that has been sorely lacking out of Marvel for a long time.
Janicia, you had something?
Yeah, I think they opened this episode with Riri and Natalie back at her house, right? Is that that's how it starts? And Natalie is kind of trying to console Riri over John. That's his name, John.
John,
John's murder.
You're talking about AI Natalie.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe I said this last week. I don't know, but I appreciated the way that Natalie was trying to bring Riri back to reality because Riri was being real hard on herself. I appreciated the friendship and the ability of Natalie to kind of be the voice of comfort and reason. And it kind of brought to light like their relationship and the ways in which Natalie is kind of a manifestation of Riri. You know what I'm saying? So like while Riri is experiencing this kind of self-doubt, negative self-talk about, I mean, it was a really traumatic thing to kill that man when she probably could have grabbed him. But
I listened to you talk about that last week, but in the heat of the moment though. And we all know Riri's a very tunnel vision person.
I think just like honestly, for somebody who was worried that a cop almost died when she almost died, I feel like that character who was worried about that cop would have went back and got John out the thing. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't track for what they've been trying to convince us. Like it didn't add up for me in that moment. You know,
I don't think she was fully
didn't he
in control.
know that he got that?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
The
Go
piece
ahead,
of
Chris,
the hood. He knew that she had that piece of the hood, so she, you know.
I mean, he did try to kill her. So
yeah, he's trying to kill her. So he's like, oh, we left him in there. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. No, I agree with Janicia. I also don't know. Like, no, I would say that. I mean, I don't think that Riri was as concerned with the cop, but I get it. It's a cop. I get it. But
it was also in a moment where she almost died. That's why, to me, when she's like, somebody almost died, it just felt so, so
like
weird.
You almost died too. What about you?
Right. And in that moment, you're worried. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually a perfect example because this was a moment where she almost died. It was a lot of things happening in that moment, right? So in a moment where she almost died, she's worried that this cop was almost killed or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And in a moment where she was almost dying, now they leave John in there to die. You know, it just, I don't know. I get the point that she couldn't breathe. I get it, but it did.
I don't think it was familiar. I think the suit leaves John in there to die, and she's just trying to end the suit.
Yeah.
I think Natalie is really about like that's why Natalie shows no remorse because Natalie did that intentionally. Like Natalie made her choice. Natalie's like, no, I left that dude to die.
Natalie has made it. Natalie AI's prime directive is to protect Riri at all costs. So
stakes are much higher in that moment as well, too.
Yeah. Of course. I will say that episode 4, especially on the first watch, it was one of maybe one of the most favorite episodes for me because of the huge introduction of the magic mixed with the
I loved all of that.
Yeah.
Not like we've seen the magic in MCU, but really like again, for such a short miniseries, for them to be able to really have a fleshed out like detour, literally a spinning detour into a magic world. That shit was fire to me. Like for them to be able to build it up in such a short amount of time and it still makes sense. And it didn't feel rushed to me. It just felt like it was a fully built world that was always in the background. And that was the point, right? Just like how, like when you watch the Doctor Strange films, how there's this other world going on back there that you just don't see. They lift the veil a little bit, you know, they go into the mirror and they, you know, they in the mirrorverse, whatever the fuck they are at the time. It's the same situation. Like the magic is always there, the magic is happening all around you. And now we're gonna pull you into this space. And it felt, for the way Riri and her mom, when they went to that shop and met Zelma and met up with Madeline, and like you could, that shocked feeling, like what the fuck just happened. I felt that. And I think that's good writing. I think for you to be put into the shoes of the main character and be able to feel like the shifts, like that those are, and I don't know if Riri's seen magic like that before, but that's a major shift away from everything she's known, as far as I know. I don't know if she seen Doctor Strange doing his shit or whatever.
Not really. No.
I know she's been with Wakanda and them, but that's still tech.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, yes, it's spirituality, but it's also tech. So I think that was the first time. So for her to be like, hey, yo, like I felt that.
I love that. And I love that her mom has always been kind of woo-woo. You know what I'm saying? So when the girl is like, you know, she throws that thing and she's like, oh, I'm reading tea leaf. The mom is like, oh yeah, I could do that. And then she throws it on the glass and she's like, oh no, never mind. Not like that. That's something else. That's something else.
Yeah.
I like how they blended in that aspect of like real life conjure with the magic of the Marvel universe. That was dope.
Facts. And I want to also bring up something you said before, which was so strong in this episode. Just seeing Cree Summers, like seeing her, not just her voice, seeing her and seeing her essentially play herself in a little bit, because you said you use the term, she kind of woo-woo. She always been kind of woo-woo with her hats and all that stuff. So, you know, she came in with the Gandalf hat and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to see. And like, it just felt natural. It didn't feel like people playing a character. It just felt like this is what these people, like, this is how they move in life. And it was just, and that's the other part about the whole bringing the magic in it. It was strong and how it's built and it's fun. Like, that's why I like Doctor Strange, at least the other ones. I like the Doctor Strange films because it brought an element of fun and just weird mysticism to it that you just wasn't seeing with all the practical stuff.
Yes, and the youthfulness of the girl.
Yes.
What's the young?
Zelma.
What's the Zelma? The youthfulness of Zelma reminded me, because Riri is doing all kind of like grown up shit. It reminded me that Riri is a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. That's the girl.
Right. So the parallel of the two moms and the two daughters in this, teenagers in this scenario, kind of helped to reground things in terms of like, okay, these are kids playing with like for real intense grown up shit, you know?
Yeah. Casually distressing Dormammu, which is in the 5th episode.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I really love this too, because we talked about this last week, how this series has grown this whole world around Riri, full of all these characters that we'd never seen before. And a lot of them are very well developed, especially like Zelma and Madeline.
Yep.
Yeah, because I love how there's all this stuff like, oh, you could have raised me, you know, back there with Dr. Strange at Comatage, you know, and then there's all the little mentions of magic. You know, you see her performing magic in the same way that Doctor Strange and others have done.
Second nature.
And then that was the other thing I loved, the second nature about it, is how her mom, like you said, not only is her mom, you know, got her own version of magic, but just how accepting both her mom and Riri are of this, because they live in the Marvel universe.
Right.
And that was really great writing to me. It's like, where they're not sitting there like, oh my God, you know, and I'm running around the magic room like, what just happened? Oh, no, what's this? And it's more like, okay, that was a little weird.
That happened.
But I get it. I always knew you were kind of magical, you know, Kree. And now I know you really are. And of course, your daughter is. And, you know, we've all seen Doctor Strange on television at this point for years upon years. I'm sure Scarlet Witch and most of the other, you know, there's quite a few known magic users in the Marvel
even Zelma
universe.
said that. Like when it happened and Riri's mom was like, what the fuck? She was just like, well, y'all never heard of the niggas. Like, you know, you have to and again, this goes back to what we say about the continuity of the MCU.
Yes.
Acknowledge that shit happens. Acknowledge that there's a fucking celestial in the sea. You know, like that. Like you gotta, if this happens, this happened. And let's live and have the characters speak on things as if this shit happened.
Yeah, because they all live in a very insane world. And that's why, you know, they had to acknowledge these things. Right.
Chris, did you have anything to say about just the magic and how you felt about all that?
I would kind of just echoing what you said earlier. I really love seeing Cree Summer. I love the just very naturalistic acting. Just being able to juxtapose that magical aspect and have it grounded as well as just like
Yeah.
a mother and daughter kind of having this conversation with exposition about their life and still being connected to what's going on. I thought it was great. Yeah, it's just and then just as a fan of A Different World and all that, it's just great to see Cree Summer. Hadn't seen her, I don't remember, since maybe at Atlanta, the Atlanta finale, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
she's also been on Abbott Elementary. She's
that's
a
right. She's
teacher
a
on Abbott.
librarian. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
a
right.
librarian. Yep.
Oh, right.
She is,
No, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
So
she's been doing great on there. So
yeah, just grounded performances. It's just like people just step into these parts and give fully
Yeah.
realized performances. Yeah.
Sarah Hawley, I think that's her last name, Sarah Finn Hawley, the casting director of Marvel. We've mentioned her before a few times, and she's a goddamn legend. I will give her praises at every opportunity. I said it on Threads the other day that she's the most important part of the MCU because her casting. So the daughter is Madeline, right?
No,
No, the
Cree
daughter's
Summer's
Zelma.
Madeline. Daughter is Zelma.
Yeah, it's like you just gave this young actress a role, and I can see her, being right alongside Riri until the end of the MCU now. Like, it's just the way that they keep establishing all these characters and giving these actors and actresses roles. It's just absolutely amazing.
Facts. Also in this episode, we see Ezekiel Stain become what I call White Lightning. So he gets the bald head. They put the shits in him, and now he got the lightning coming out his fingertips. So
I want to say Black Comic Nerd has a video where he dispels the myth that there's a large percentage of Black heroes with lightning powers. And
that's huge.
I didn't watch the video because I'm just like, yeah, whatever, B. Don't give me that truth. I know the lies is real.
That truth. It's fucking real. And here comes Ezekiel. He's, you know that meme where they say we got everybody in Mark. He's the Mark in this situation. It's like, all right, well, the one white guy. But I guess he leveled up. I mean, would y'all consider that a level up? I mean, does anybody care?
I really was. Okay, so the only thing I liked about him, I like the connection to Obadiah, and then that's where it stops for me.
Yeah,
we spent so much time. There were so many other things that could have been done with the time that we spent making sure that this was a fully fleshed out, kind but stressed out white man. It was just too much time on this guy who's not a big enough character even in this universe. Like, the payoff for all this building that we did for this white man is not even that great. And honestly, we didn't even leverage. All right, so he gets his strength from Riri, his inner black woman, right? So he gets that strength. The payoff for that should be, for me, like when Hood has him like doing his deeds, like doing his bidding, that should be funnier. That shit should lean into more like, I got this white man, like, no, you're gonna do what I told you kind of stuff. Like, if I have to spend so much time learning about this white man's doubts about himself and how much he wants to help, but he's conflicted, and there was so much time spent with this. Give me the payoff of like laughing, like I should know him well enough to see why it's so funny that the Hood is controlling him. There should be some comedy in there. There's also a power imbalance there that should be played up, or there's some shit going on there, some dynamics going on there that could be played up for laughs for my personal benefit, because I had to sit as a black girl watching this show that's about the black girl, and we spent so much time on this freaking white man that we could have spent that real estate doing other shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now we have the Hood, who we later learn was kicked out of his home, dealt with all type of bullshit or whatever, has been yearning for a certain type of power that he now gets or whatever. We have this freaking Ezekiel, who's a millionaire, who lives in this modest ass house so that he can build fucking war machines on the low for his own personal delight and fulfillment. You know what I'm saying? That should have been played up for laughs. And I didn't get enough from that. It was like his whole purpose there was like, this is a nice conflicted white boy. Let's spend a lot of time with him so that you niggas could argue about all the time you didn't spend on other stuff. You know?
Oh shit. Sorry to interrupt. Real quick PSA. A lot of y'all watch this channel and you don't hit the like or the subscribe button. Help out For All Nerds. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Join the fam. Do it now and we'll get right back to this video.
All right, I'm done. Yeah, his existence, the amount of time spent was infuriating.
Oh wow, I didn't think of it like that. I felt that scene when they.
That's what I do, Chris. You know that.
No, I'm aware. I think though, I thought that scene was episode 5 or 6 when we meet Parker's dad.
That's later on. That's 6.
Okay,
That's 6. That's the last episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't talk.
No, we meet his dad in 5. Don't we meet him in 5?
But you know what, Janicia, when you said what was the purpose and all that, and it's actually a really simple purpose, and I mean, this is the only thing that makes sense to me. It was to give her like a B level rival that can always pop up. Because
but B level doesn't deserve that amount of time.
You know,
that's the issue for me.
Like,
the amount of time.
Be like, okay, well, I'll get you next time, my pretty type shit. Like,
we could have did that shit in half the time.
Because my thing is nothing else makes sense.
That doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, I know. This
we could have done it in half the time.
I'm just gonna say, as a black man, I agree with both of you black women, and I think you're right, Tatiana, where adversarial character before you get to the big bad, and I think that confrontation, I just don't want to go skip ahead too much, but the conversation they have later on in the series was good, and it's that when you think that there's supposed to be this trust built that Riri and he have, and then for it to be broken, you could see the anger that he has towards Riri later on. But I understand what you're saying. They could have used that time to develop more.
Let me ask you a question, Janicia. How did you feel when Riri, mistakenly or otherwise, did exactly what Ezekiel asked her not to do?
Have you ever helped to parent a teenager?
Yes.
It was giving that. It was giving, this is what teenagers do.
This is what teenagers do.
Yeah.
And
you told them exactly what to do. You believe in them. Their teenagers are in this awkward space between childhood and adulthood, and you're starting to see them as somebody who can think for themselves and do and make choices, and you trust them. And they let you down because they're a freaking teenager. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that he was on the right track, Ezekiel, when he was like, you're just a teen and you're out for yourself and da-da-da. He was on the right track. But then once he got juiced up on the steroids, on the electricity steroids, it seemed like the energy. I get the anger. Okay. She helped to ruin your life that you had, your cushy life where you're able to hide secretly and use a name or whatever because you're a white man and you can do anything. Right. She messed that up for you. But the rage and the anger, it was bigger than the real issue, which is that she's a freaking teenager. And she's making teenager choices and, playing checkers on a chessboard.
Yes. And I do agree with everyone so far. And even though I liked him when he was introduced in the first 3 episodes, I did feel like there was too much time spent on him in these 3 episodes. But in his defense and in the writer's defense, I will say that, if you go to prison, I'm going to be quite upset. I've been incarcerated. It's one of the worst things ever. And so upset. If someone, teenager or not, I don't give a damn, dog. You send me to prison. I didn't want to go to jail. Prison in my life, prison, which you've also done. You ruined my cushy life, like you said, put all my secrets on blast, but you sent me to prison. So that's quite upsetting. And that's something that does happen in this episode. Now, his reactions in White Lightning, which we'll get into more in episode 5 and 6, I was not very impressed with. I would have preferred to see him build some type of suit. I know the White Lightning is from the comics, but it just did not do it for me. And
I'm loving calling him White Lightning. That's
I was just about to say, is his name for real White Lightning?
No.
Okay.
No, I just call him White Lightning as a joke.
Okay.
In the comics, he's Ezekiel Stain, and I think he has some name when he gets his electric powers. He does have a name,
and I'll pull it up when he does start utilizing his powers. But it's literally the same thing that happened in the show, almost exactly the same happened in the books. So where he put all that tech that he be stealing in him and, become his own bioweapon.
Now, something else that happened this episode that I did want to bring up because it addresses a point that a lot of people have had with this, and I saw a lot of comments through the first 3 episodes, is why didn't Riri just call up Shuri?
Bro. That's on my
I've been
list of
saying
shit
that.
too.
I had
That's
said
on my
that,
list
like,
of shit too. And it's
every
culturally
episode, just call
inaccurate.
her.
It's culturally inaccurate that she would not have hit her up to some degree. The only excuse that I could think of for her not hitting up Shuri at any point in time would be the teenager bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like
okay, now the
just
teenager.
not
No, we
thinking
know
that.
real reason.
But yeah, we know the real reason.
Gotta pay Letitia right.
Tisha, right?
Yeah, we know the real reason. But also, okay, now let me ask this: like, at what point would you say, okay, I should call Shuri, right? Because
Immediately, nigga.
okay,
There's
but
a
no,
point
let me
in every
finish.
episode.
Let me finish there. No, okay, let me finish. But like, as once again, as a teenager, as somebody who's back in, okay, let you get kicked out of MIT. Do you call Shuri then?
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
I would have.
Shuri and the
I would have never left
J
Wakanda,
paid
but
her a
that goes
visit at
yeah.
MIT.
Right.
What you mean?
Right.
Okay, here's my thing.
Yep.
Riri was literally part of a fucking war in Wakanda against.
She helped
the Atlanteans.
save the nation.
Yes.
So you don't think
she also helped cause the destabilization of that nation by building the thing that got stolen? You gotta remember that, and she mentions that as well.
Sure,
this is like
you're right.
Yeah, she is, quite responsible for a lot of destruction herself. So she has to hold that, and that's her guilt too, which she carries.
Right. She do gotta hold that.
So let me go back to the question of when do you call her? Because that's what I'm saying. It's like there's all right, you get kicked out of MIT. Me personally, I would have called her right then, but she doesn't. So then she goes home and starts building the armor. John comes along and recruits her into this thing. Now once she does the first criminal act, it's to her, it's pretty much too late to call her. So when would you have called her? When John first approached you?
Okay, you're making valid points.
Asking.
Yeah, I would have called immediately. Episode 1, I'm getting kicked out of MIT. Like, do you know who I am, my nigga? I would have hit up Shuri with the quickness.
No, I understand that.
If that doesn't happen, so we're still in episode 4. But that point, which I think is episode 5 or 6, where she goes to her mom and she's like, "I need help. I'm scared." Yeah. You didn't want to talk to your mom. You didn't want to disturb your mom's peace this whole time, and you talking to your moms before you hit up Shuri, the most brilliant person that you know. Are we kidding?
To your point, Janicia, though, like the teenager stuff, it's like, I don't know if I should. Oh, she gonna be mad at me if I call her.
Oh my
I caused the war.
How do you know that? But you're right. The teenager mind won't think ahead. It's just like, how do you know until you call and let her cuss you out? Be like, girl, bye, right?
Yeah.
Like.
And then by the time she goes to her mom, she's way in too deep. She's done major criminal activities. Right. I know, Janicia, you don't like calling them criminal, but to the out and
criminal, I don't like calling them wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think they're wrong.
Criminal, I get.
Definitely criminal activity.
Yeah, I don't think they're wrong either.
They're victims of their given circumstance. But
I would have definitely given.
Right.
But I
think it's.
Oh, but also, wait a second. Wait.
What?
So she has this. Okay, so she's a teenager, but also she has a whole community of Black people that knew she was down, helping save Wakanda. They would have. Her mom would have said, "Listen."
Did those people really know what happened?
Yeah,
that's like that fight with Kukulkan was isolated.
I think that's something we downplayed this the last review.
I don't think people really knew about.
You got to remember, like she went to war. These are like
she didn't tell her mom shit. Her mom even said she didn't tell her mom shit. Sorry,
and you got to remember this is a war. Like like we don't see all of it on screen, but massive people die, etc. Right in front of this teenager's face. Okay. So she's coming home from that as we see shell shot still. Like she still has a lot of trauma just from that. And so calling them up, I don't think is now I will say this because I even had this issue when the trailer dropped. When the professor starts barking on her in that first episode, I'm like, oh fuck, I went to Wakanda. Like, shut the fuck up, but
do they know that and do they care? I think that war was isolated too.
They definitely don't know there was a war there, all that type of thing. So
y'all got me thinking about something else.
Because think about it, like it wasn't like it was advertised. It wasn't on CNN.
No, it's very quiet.
Yeah, I guess I assumed that her mom would know, but her mom knew that she was at school, so who knows what, right?
And a lot of
remember, she got snatched out of school, went to a war, and then went back to school.
Right. A lot of times,
as one does. Right.
Most heroes,
spring break is always wild.
Whatever.
She wanted to have big fun in Baltimore.
I was just gonna say most heroes have to eat that stuff anyway.
Yes.
You have to eat that stuff. I was in a war. They don't care. Nobody cares. We know the
Nobody
audience.
cares in real life. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Nobody. You know, nobody.
Good point, man. Yeah.
No, that's for real. You go to war.
Yeah.
Like I've been to
They be like,
prison.
"That's
People don't give a shit.
crazy."
You know, it's like that is the reaction. Oh, that's wild. All
They
right,
go,
now
"Oh,
what's for
that's
lunch?"
crazy. What y'all
Yeah.
want to eat now?"
Yeah.
Like
What I do feel with all of her grief and her mom being woo woo, she would have been in therapy. You know what I'm saying?
This
I
is
feel
true.
like
Riri
somebody
is
would have
Money's
had her.
tight. Money's tight and insurance,
Money is tight.
you know.
I mean,
Who
that
had
point
it-
she
who
was
had it
making, she was
worse?
making bread, but she had to turn to the criminal life for that. And you're not going to talk to your therapist about, I'm doing big crime. Like you're not going to have that conversation.
I feel like somebody would have had that girl in therapy,
I'll put
especially
a-
she's high profile. MIT might have actually put her in some therapy.
She might have
I can see
ignored
that
her
potentially.
therapist.
But also, who's
She's
gonna
a
make her?
teenager.
Like you can't
Yeah.
make her, right? Like you say, "Hey Riri, we got this all lined up for you." She's gonna say bet and ignore the fuck out of you, right?
Yeah.
That's her personality. She gonna do what the fuck she wanna do, as we keep seeing over
Right.
and over and over again, every episode to the very end.
I want to say
Mhm.
who had it worse, Riri or Janicia from Tyler Perry's Straw.
Anybody in a Tyler Perry thing probably has it worse. I don't even know
I
who
don't know, man.
Janicia is.
Janiah.
What do you say? I
That's-
saw you put that on social. What do you
Yes,
think?
I don't know. It just made me think. I kind of feel like Riri's got a lot
Hmm.
because we're gonna find out. You know, we find out a couple
I
episodes
mean,
later that
Jania's not dealing with world ending. I mean, her own personal world, but
If
Yeah.
Janai go to war,
Planet
I gotta go with
ending
Riri. People are underestimating this war shit, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
I gotta go
But why
with
would you
Riri.
make
People
that?
said
I hate you, Chris, for even bringing that up. Not
Yeah.
Janiah from Straw, bro.
This war shit, I think, is
Just made me
being
think about it.
underestimated in this equation.
God damn,
'Cause
Janiah. Oof, she went through it.
One last thing for this episode I did want to talk about
Please.
is
I hope you're gonna
that
say what's there.
well, probably not, but what's I have him Parker breaking out Zeke is pretty much the end, and he rates him out of prison.
I was gonna say something else.
Okay, no, go ahead and say it, because I just thought that was well done. I know we hate, we're not the biggest fan of the time spent with Zeke.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna get into my biggest problem with him, especially in episode 6. Oh my god! But yeah. What else did you have to say?
I think one of the biggest reveals, really, and really heartbreaking and really critical, like an analysis in like emotional trauma, was Xavier finding out about Natalie AI.
Yes,
because this is when he first sees her, like, the soup brings him, and then she pops up, and I was just like, no, like in my head, I was like, no, he's not going to take this good. And predictably, he did not take that well. And it's interesting because I did like a few people I talked to, they were split. Some of them was just like, shouldn't they like he be like not so harsh against her because it's like a tribute to his sister and all that stuff. And then the other side, which is my side, was like I understood fully, was just like it felt like a violation.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't on purpose, and even Riri was trying to plead her case that it was not done on purpose, which is true. It just the manifestation just happened based on something she wasn't even calculating. But still, it was hard to watch from a like emotional perspective, because for him to see that, like he had said, like I think it was episode 1 or whatever, he was like he's sorry he wasn't there that night, right? Because he also feels like he wasn't there to protect his sister, and all of this stuff that's happened thus far, and then like for this to be kept a secret from him, and then he sees this, and that's probably the first time he's seen his sister since she passed. That shit is rough.
Unimaginable. Yeah, it's a lot with the show that I've been. It's like I've lost friends, my parents, etc. But one of the people I still have in my life is my sister, and the idea of a hologram of her or something like that is, I still don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's combined also with the way that she pops up on him. That's like startling. He might have been able to handle a conversation, but all of a sudden my sister is standing there. That's a bit much. That might be too much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Xavier still looks very grown.
I was talking to somebody, a black woman, about Riri and black geniuses and emotional intelligence. Do you think it's like, well, she's so intelligent that she has, I was thinking about like blind spots that our geniuses have, or just people that are really gifted at things. And she was saying like, well, there's no emotional intelligence, the Natalie situation, the AI. Doesn't she think that maybe he might be feel a way about that? What do y'all think about? I just want to know what y'all thought about it, just in general.
I will say I know she knew he would feel a way about it, which is why she hid it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Natalie just popped out. She didn't tell Natalie, "Hey, show yourself to Xavier." Natalie just popped out. Was like, "Oh, I want to see my brother," right? So,
Yeah.
I think I do think Riri understood the implications, so that's why she hid it. At the same time, I do also agree, and it's not just like just that genius intellect approach, and you just see that trope in media anyway about like you're so fucking smart that you have no emotional IQ, like
right
because and they usually posit that with, unfortunately, like they also conflate it sometimes with things like what's all, like if you're on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like they'll conflate that and be like, well, because they're on the spectrum, they don't understand the emotion too, right? Some of them are just assholes, right? Like Tony Stark, right? You're just an asshole, and that's just how you be. And then sometimes that is a thing. Like I think it's very difficult to generalize that. I think is a lot of nuance there, but at the end of the day, I do think that tends to be the case where they say, well, you're so smart that you're so driven on what you can do versus how you feel. We do see that. I feel that Riri is a bit emotionally stunted. Like it's hard for her to even come to terms with her own emotions. It wasn't until later on in the series where she essentially gave in to her emotions and allowed herself to feel that stuff. And when I say feel that stuff, I mean sit with it. Like she's been feeling away. She is in pain. She is sitting in that, but she never addressed it. She never gave her the time to grieve or any of that stuff. So I think like there's so much turmoil in her on top of her intellect, on top of everything going on, that I think it's just hard.
Yeah, and she's also again a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
And she's a teenager.
So for me, like I don't really see her as disconnected from emotions. I see her as driven. I see her sometimes as like having a singular focus, but she doesn't come off to me as somebody who is has a lack of emotion, or as somebody who is on the spectrum and has trouble reading emotions. That doesn't come off for me. I do think that we have certain expectations of Black women. I think that she's 27 in real life. So I was gonna say, I think that we adultify Black girls as well, even though we are looking at someone who is an adult play a child or play a teenager, 19, 20-year-old. I think that, so like to me, like that reading of her feels like an adultification and an added pressure. Let's say she is an adult, an added pressure on a Black woman to have to be show up as 100% everybody's fucking therapist. You know what I'm saying? To Tatiana's point, she hid her because she knew it would be an issue. There was a lot happening in that moment. Nobody asked Natalie to go and get him and bring her there, even bring him there, when he meets Natalie and all that stuff or whatever. It was a lot happening. Right. And so she deals with it as best as she can in the moment. We're watching the show. So of course I'm thinking, are you going to say anything else to him? Like say something else to him or whatever.
Right.
But it's a lot happening in that moment. And I think that like reads of her in this show, I'm not as privy to like the details of her personality in the comics, but in this show, I feel like she shows a range of emotions.
She does show a lot of emotion.
Yeah, and I think the way that people read her or talk about her as having less than emotions is a reflection of the way that we treat Black women and girls in real life, because we don't demonstrate or perform our emotions, our joy, our rage, our hurt in ways that is either expected or desired, or perform these feelings in a way that is somehow in service to the people around us, you know what I'm saying? Or care for the people's feelings around us, or put those other people's feelings first before our own. Because of that, we are then reduced to, oh, they don't have feelings, they don't care. They can't, for her, oh, she's so smart, she can't read, she can't read emotions and stuff like that. It feels like a manifestation of how we treat Black girls and Black women in real life, because I feel like every episode she's crying, she's laughing, she's wondering, she's emoting.
She is emoting a lot.
Yeah, it's right there. It's on her shoulder. She's grieving. It's right there.
Yeah, because I was telling that person, I was like, well, you have not only seen the 3 episodes, I've seen them all. And then I think there is a realization, I guess, that one of my favorite scenes in the whole series, I think it happens in episode 5.
Well,
But
wait, save that. Then let's save
okay,
that.
yeah, I'm not
Save
gonna
that.
say it. I'm not gonna say it. But
Let's just save that.
just that there's an arc. I think that you have to watch the whole thing to really get a read on not only the decision that she makes, but just like what the character actually does and what changes her.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
and no, and I agree with everyone. I think that because we talked about this last week, is that the whole Tony Stark comparison, of course, is going to come up, and even in, like, for comic readers, Reed Richards is another one of these super geniuses who often doesn't have a very emotional output. But I think Riri has a much wider range of emotions than someone like Reed Richards. And while Tony, I think, is very much an emotional character, it's just usually not
He's
the right
emo,
emotions.
but he's an asshole.
Yeah,
He's
it's not the
emo
right
asshole,
emotions
so.
for the situation.
Yeah.
Riri shows, empathy and, comforts people, all these type of things. Like she says in this episode, I don't want Xavier to see you because I know how he would react. While someone like Reed would not even think of that. He would just immediately show Xavier, the hologram of his sister. Like right away. Like, look what I did.
Yeah, like it's not on some Dr. Manhattan shit where it's like, well, what do you mean? Like
no,
that
and I
very
just
blank.
rewatched,
And she's not Spock. She's not Spock.
Yeah.
I was just somebody had talked with. I was talking to someone. I was just like, I wanted to see what y'all thought about it.
Oh no, definitely. But I do
That's a good
feel
question.
like her issues are, one, that she's a teenager, and that she is a super genius and is thinking along lines where she's very focused on things and has a very one-track mind about a lot of things. And so because of that, it does get her into trouble, and it does lead to situations where her emotions aren't really expressed or shown the right way, or it might lead to situations like this.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hey, what's up, internets and the fan fam? This is Tatiana King for For All Nerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching the For All Nerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.
For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.